All right. I think we're live.
We
Just
are.
gonna give it a hot second here to catch up to us. All right. So a happy Friday, everybody. Adrian Park here, our founder, Jay Carter, with me today, as always. And so I don't know why I enjoy this so much, but I do enjoy telling stories about my fantastic f ups. I think it's partially. I guess I mean, it does feel good to like be able to say it and laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing at the time, um, and so we're talking about the before I get into what we're talking about this week. So I read this book. For those of you can see that it's called The Ultimate Sales Machine, and it's a book by a guy named Chet Holmes, and it's a sales book, obviously. And so I got turned on to this gentleman who sadly passed away. I want to say like 10, 11 years ago, but he was an absolute just Jedi ninja beast when it came to selling. In fact, his YouTube videos, guy's been passed away for a decade, and his videos still perform on YouTube because it's so good. So I read this book, and one of the things that Chet Holmes talks about in the book is this thing called, which I'm sure he borrowed from somebody else, educational marketing. And so this is, I read this, it's early 2017. I had been in construction for 6 to 8 months, and it wasn't going good in 2017, because it was like late spring and we had like no leads. And so I read this book and I'm like, oh, that's the answer. We'll just educate our people, which is, our lead, our prospective customers, our prospects, which we should do, right? However, I did it the wrong way. And here's what I mean. So I was like, oh, we educate them, we show them what's wrong, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So I was like, we'll explain to people the value of like, caulking, and like what happens when you don't caulk and when it dries up and gets powdery. And we'll explain to them like what happens when your mortar joints wear out, and like how water penetrates, and moisture and all that. And I had this like epiphany, and I was like, this is going to be, and I thought to and I really believe this. This isn't just for the story. I thought this is going to be the greatest marketing campaign ever executed in construction. I was so excited. I was like, people are going to read this mailer and they're going to be like, I need to call these guys. So I scrapped our current mailers, which were getting leads, good leads, by the way. I scrapped them because I was like, these are garbage. And so I made this whole new thing. I wrote like 5 things you need to look for, whatever, and these problems that can happen in your home or in your building, and I thought this is going to be the thing. And so we printed, I don't know how many, like thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Right?
Yikes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I went all in on this, and I was so excited. Right. So we sent them all out, and like literally nobody called. Like nothing. It was like if crickets were in a soundproof room. Like there was
I've
nothing.
been there, man. I feel
Like
you.
nothing. And I was like, and I had kind of like, I had come into the business, and I had this like momentum because I came in and I negotiated a really big contract. Just got lucky. Negotiation skills meets like they wanted to hire us, and so anyway, and so like I thought, oh, I got something here. I can do this construction thing. And then I go into the spring, and it's all of a sudden my magic's gone, and I thought I'm trying to get my magic back. And I thought this is going to be the thing, and it was not the thing, because nobody responded. And the reason, and if you can let me share my screen here, Jay, the reason that people didn't respond is that it was a good message, right? Because I did use that message later on, but it was not to the right people, right? So what I'm sharing here is, so this is, they call this the Chet Holmes pyramid. credit, I mean, it's brilliant for him that he got the credit for it. But this is essentially, and Jay showed something like this last week, which is basically like, this is where every buyer is at in any given minute, like right now. Like everyone is somewhere on this pyramid about something that they want or don't know about, right? So the top of the pyramid, this 3% that are buying now, like, I don't want to get too grandiose here, but that's the whole economy, right? That's the whole economy. That's every economy everywhere around the world, because that's what's moving the economy, people that are buying right now. And then the next 6 to 7% is people that are open to it, and 30% aren't thinking about it. And then there's like 30% that know they're not interested, and then 30% that don't think they're interested, et cetera, et cetera. So what I didn't understand was that, like, I was sending this message to people that had no idea who we were, right? Had never heard of us. And I wasn't just saying, hey, we're out here, get to know us and maybe call us if you have a problem, and then we'll figure out if we can help you. I was I was trying to have a conversation with someone who did not know me, right? So, I mean, it would be like, it's the equivalent of like, I mean, it's one thing to say hi to a stranger, like in the grocery store or out somewhere socially. It's another thing to walk up to them and like ask them like a really like personal question, like try to like, tell me about your relationship with your father.
Right.
So, so that's what I was
give
doing.
them or try to educate them, because you know how much you appreciate
right
being educated by a stranger, right?
Like, that's a much better
show
example.
up and be like, yo,
right. It'd be like,
here's your lesson for the day.
Like my partner and I, we went to get a bite the other night, and it was this wide open kind of thing, a beer garden kind of thing, and we were there, and stranger just kind of came up, and he was really, really friendly, which I appreciated. But if he had sat down and said hello and introduced himself, had he sat down and like asked us like a really personal question, or try to tell us, like give us some sort of like unsolicited advice about something, conversation would have went a very different way. We probably would have bounced, like, it just, so anyway, so I spent a lot of time and a lot of money developing this, what ended up being a terrible campaign, and got no results. And the reason why is because I was going to a group of people that didn't know if they were interested or weren't thinking about it, or a group that knew they were not interested, and I was trying to like tell them about a problem that I believe they had.
You would have also overwhelmed the 3% at the top and made them want more information. So right. Again, more information keeps them on their logical side of their brain. So if you're sending out a piece of mail that points out the problem, it's like selling a drill. You're talking about features and benefits, but you're not focusing on what makes the sale. So all sales is transformation. If you can get them to imagine where they currently are and where they would like to be, all right, that's what you're selling. You're selling the transformation of them getting a new roof, for example.
Right.
And a lot of marketers, when they first start, our guys first starting out, they try to sell the drill. They sell the roofing, assuming that that's what they want, but that's not what they want. That the roofing's just roofing, especially if it's coming from a stranger.
Yeah, we want the solution, and so I was, again, so is it useful to have that in the conversation? Is that something we should have in our tool belt to be able to educate, our
time and place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I laugh at it now. It wasn't funny at the time because we were really, really hurting and didn't have a lot of cash. But, I was going to people that didn't even know who we were, and I was trying to tell them, they had this big problem and I was going to solve it. And they couldn't, clearly by the response, could not have been less interested in having the conversation with me. So, and I think that, I've, just to be real sort of like transparent here, I didn't really understand. For a while, I was reading books about like sales funnels and things like that, and did not understand, even until like within the last year, like really what, like it's, and we talked about this last week, but it really bears repeating because, and I'd done a lot of different things at that point, and I'm 47 years old and did not really understand like exactly like what's happening. And so, today I understand a lot more and, understand that, essentially it's kind of understanding, where different prospective buyers are and, essentially going from, I don't know who this person is. Who is this person? Oh, okay. Who's this contractor? I know this contractor. I need this contractor, right? So it's essentially
Right.
from not, I've never heard of this person to, oh, I know them. Oh, okay. I could trust this person. Ooh, I like this person. I need them to do my job.
So
So
if we were to look at, sorry to interrupt, if we were to look at that funnel, last week I explained this, that top 3%, all right, everyone's buying for them. All right. So every contractor that's out there is fighting for that business. All right. So if you
yeah,
go up to that
right.
now, what I was explaining last week is that the money and the branding takes place in the not thinking about it, open to it. If you're
Right.
able to move people through
Yeah.
that
So
cycle,
here,
I'm gonna
right.
walk you guys through this today. The exact system that I use to bring people from not thinking about it to I'm converting, right? So it like I said, there's for contractors that understand how to build that awareness and how to take a customer through a journey that begins lower in the buying process, and they really get good at converting. And we're going to talk about what sales funnels are today. But if they get really good at that, all right, that's where the value goes up of your brand. And people don't think that, like, the people don't understand that the sales and marketing of a company, all right, is your message, is your image out to the market.
Right.
The more that you're able to move people from those lower brackets into a conversion, all right, the more profitable and the more money you can charge, period. Right. And we see more and more examples of it. Again, companies that can sell and market will outperform any other company with any other sort of operation problem or anything else like that, hands down. Right. So again, the only thing that's scalable and the only thing that's truly going to buy you freedom in your business is understanding how these mechanisms work. And too many contractors are sold on, if I do good work, all right,
I was
then
just
I
going to
will
say
get all
that.
the customers. They're going to come to me.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yeah.
not the way that people buy. And if they understood that, hey, you know what? The investment in the work that I do, the profit from the jobs I do, or the revenue from the jobs I do, need to be dedicated to moving people through this process, right? And I need to design my company around moving people from where they currently are to where they
Right.
want to be.
Yeah, that was something that I actually learned from you because I hit that wall, that same wall. I
Mhm.
hit that wall because we went from being, um, well, doing, I will say, good work in terms of the end result. We weren't making money, but we were doing good work, if you can call it that, to like doing great work and crushing from an execution operational standpoint. But then I kind of felt this, like, it's like this wall where I was like, what's happening here? And then I realized after we had worked together for about a year, I was like, oh, we don't do enough marketing.
Right.
We've
Well,
got to
and
get out there.
marketing,
We've got to like build, like, people have to become more aware of us
right.
instead of just like from these, like, I mean, granted, we had decent campaigns and mailers and things like that, but I was like, oh, we need to do these other things
Right.
because then it's doing the work for us before we have to go out and look at a job or do an
Right.
estimate or whatever.
So
And that was like a big aha.
right. So there's another element to this, which most people I don't think understand, is that people can stay indefinitely in one side until it's like an emergency, and then they become
Right.
that
Right.
3%, right?
Right.
If you are able to prospect at a lower stage in the buying decision, all right, and you're actually marketing ahead of time. So let's say they're not ready to buy for 90 days, but you've already made those first contacts and built your authority with them earlier and more effectively. You're not going to have to price, you're not going to be price, you're not going to have to price with the rest of them. They've already got
Right.
respect for you, and that you already become the authority to making their decision. And that's where
Yeah.
I'm saying the investment there needs to be made. But the problem with it is guys don't see an immediate ROI. And that's
Right.
really why people stop doing it, right? So for
Right.
example, contractors may start using social media, realize, hey, it's costing me about $1,000 a month. I'm not getting leads from this, but not
Right.
realizing that their conversions, the amount of sales they're making have gone up. They pull that
Right.
away, and all of a sudden that conversion starts to drop. So I'm going to talk about that cycle.
Yeah.
If we can do that, do you want me to
Yeah,
do it?
yeah. I think that's where we got to help people, because like, I think that, I mean, just from the guys that I rub shoulders with, this glaze over. You say sales funnel to, I say sales funnel to one of the guys I know here in Western PA, and there's like,
Yeah,
like,
no idea.
I've lost them. Like,
So,
it's
and
just like, that's
right.
and they come back to life when we're done talking about it, you know?
Yeah. So I actually see two funnels that occurs. There's two processes, okay? And it's very easy to confuse the two, all right? So the first process that has to occur if you're going to be scalable, okay? Now notice I didn't say like being in business, because the first one that you
Right.
actually have to get right is your sales funnel, okay? Now a sales funnel, all right, is simply this. When the leads come in, how do we convert them from the lead coming in to the sale being made? Okay. That is a sales process. So leads come in, follow-ups, like the presentations, like and this could be a 7-step, it can be an 8-step, but simply put, once you've generated a lead or somebody has interest in your business, you're going to go out and take a set of activity that's going to persuade them to close a deal with you. Okay.
Right.
Now, everybody can improve in their sales funnel. And in fact, it's an ongoing developing process. Even this week, I'll share with you guys, we developed and improved our sales funnel by using an app called Blink. Actually, I got it from a client, and it was a great idea. So essentially, it's just a digital business card, but when you exchange it, all right, it gives you back the person's contacts. So if you're talking with someone, they ask you for a business
Okay.
card, you flip open and you give them a QR code that's on your phone. It's just an app.
Yeah.
They scan it, it goes right into their phone, but it exchanges the contacts. So then you can recontact them. So if you're doing any door knocking or anything
Smart.
like that,
Yeah.
you're
Smart.
capturing their contacts right there and then, and you can send them to information, websites, stuff like that. So, but you always get that kind of initial conversation of if you're meeting somebody through cold traffic, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and you want to move them into a warming cycle. We'll use door knocking as an example, but we can use social media ads. We can use all types of examples of how this works. But I need to be able to contact them. That's the first step. I need to get their contact information so that I can start to nurture them into becoming an actual lead. Okay. Once they become an actual lead, most people understand this part is because they've sold before. Oh, I've got to go out and give them a quote. I've got to do a presentation. I've got to follow up with them. I've got to, and that's how I get a conversion. What they don't understand is the intimacy and the connection between marketing and the ease and ability to sell. Because the better you do at the top, all right, in educating, and maybe put it this way, if you were to give out the information that somebody needed to have before the sale, before they even inquired to have a lead, all right, the steps in your sales process are far less. You're not going to have to follow up. You might be doing one call closes. They might have already made the decision. And they're also going to have less resistance to your price because you've built authority before. So it's called giving value before you actually meet with someone to try and convert them. And remember, nobody likes to be sold. All right. We're in the post-trust
Right.
era. All right. No one trusts anybody. It's just the way that it is. It's a reality.
Right.
Everyone's questioning things. Like that's why you see your ads running, doing poorer and poorer, well, some people's. So I want to kind of talk about that connection today. I want to
Okay.
give everybody kind of a high level view of what that could be. All right. So we're going to start with ads, easiest one that I can explain. Okay. So what most 99% of contractors are doing, all right, and agencies that work for contractors do, is that they go straight for conversion leads. Okay. So these are directed at people that are solution and problem aware. Okay. They know they need a roof, right? They know they have a problem and they're looking actively for somebody, that 3% of the awareness funnel. Okay. So when we're going for those conversions, we're competing first on ad spend and on everything else for people that have shown a interest. They're getting quotes from someone else. They tell the algorithm, hey, I was on Google and I'm looking for a roofer. Okay. That immediately puts a flag on them. And now all of a sudden a flood of other contractors are popping up and they've got their choice or selection of contractors.
Right.
And it's at that point that every contractor tries to jam in enough information that, like, you imagine we're all standing there, there's 100 of us. Everyone's putting up their hand, pick me, pick me, pick me, right? Makes sense. Okay. But where they miss their opportunity, and the way I look at things is there's this whole process above here that's far more valuable. Okay. And it's what we call the cold branding engagement awareness process. Okay. Where they're unaware, or they might be problem aware, but not solution aware. Okay. But they're doing their research. They've just started to think about it. Okay. They might be looking up, materials. They might be looking up if they can do it themselves. They might be looking up ways, because they're trying to get their head wrapped around what this will cost, what this project will look like. They haven't even began to search contractors. They are literally looking at, before they call anybody, and put themselves, can I afford this? Right? Or what do I want? Like, do I want to call a contractor that offers this or offers that? And this is where contractors need to be investing more. Okay. So let's use an example. We have a blog, okay, that speaks specifically to how much does it cost to install a metal roof. All right.
Okay.
Far easier to promote. Google picks that up and people start to read that. You're going to get people from all over the place, but eventually it gets, enough SEO, we'll call it, that it becomes an authority. So like Google's going to push everybody to that article that explains it. So now in your local area, you're coming up first for that article, and the homeowner is going to read that article, like what you did with your campaign. So think about that, is that you were doing the right thing, wrong place to do it, because when you're sending direct mail, when you're sending a direct mail, that is a direct marketing response. Like, you want a direct response. You want them to take the next action. Here, you're not saying, hey, you need to take this next action, knowing that their intent isn't to take action yet. Their intent is to become aware and educate themselves, which more and more and more and more homeowners, no one wakes up and goes, hey, I'm going to just pick the first person I see and I'm going to get them to come and do this work. Like, nobody does that, right? Like, everyone starts somewhere. They check reviews. They're not just calling anybody. Okay. And like I said to you guys, we are in the post-trust era. Even if they do see your company, you stand out, they're researching you. So what comes up and the information you share is your brand. That's your authority. And if you have articles, if you have information, YouTube videos, you have this whole thing that helps them to become educated, well, they're feeding off that. Of course, they're going to call you. All right. Now, that doesn't mean you convert them, but like, you started much higher. Now, what happens in most cases, all right, is if they drink enough of your Kool-Aid, all right, they kind of establish, they might give other people a call, but they're not serious about, they want to just make sure the price is in check. And we get this all the time, right? They're price checking, but they're not serious. Now, think about Angie's List. Think about, all of these pay to play, sites and what they're doing. They're basically creating this top. Okay. And then the contractors are paying for the conversion. And then this next thing happens is what we call retargeting. So, and this in the ad game or the door knocking game, this is exactly the cycle we want to play. We want to sandwich conversion in between cold branding. So we're going to make them aware, top of funnel blogs, social media posts, information. Okay. And then when we have this conversion, which costs the most amount of money, guys, this is where like you're at like a dollar, or it could be like $15 a click, $16 a click. These go way up. So you get more of the conversion. So when people click on your ads, you're converting more. All right. It's not because of the conversion ad itself. It's because they came from higher up. They've already researched. You're already in their mind. Now, here's the other thing. If you run this, the branding, they hit on one of your articles early in the phase, you get given credit to retarget them. So you know how your phone always talks about you, or whatever you talk about in your phone, it pops up. Same thing if you've been on someone's website, all of a sudden their ads get to come up in your feed for an amount of time. So this is where we talk about an omni-channel presence, where we're retargeting people that may have been interested, because no one just, a lot of people will take time to make a decision. And if you can get in front of them enough time, so think about it, we've got 100 people, all right? Everybody's got the same chance. We're all trying to look good for the, for the homeowner to come and pick one of us. We all trying to look pretty in our trucks and our wraps and everything else. And they've got to pick one of a sea of people that look identical.
Right.
But somebody has an unfair advantage. Somebody has already been in their ear as their consultant and was like, hey, you should consider this. So that wipes out half the contractors because they get eliminated. They're, they don't fit the the checklist that you gave them or whatever. They didn't have the right, thing. So you eliminated half of them. And then you give them a little bit more information like, hey, you know what? You really want to look at this specific type of roof that I happen to offer, right? With this specific type of detail that I happen to offer. And now all of a sudden you're only fighting with 25. And then what you do is, well, the homeowner, let's just imagine for a second, doesn't want to make a decision that day. He's got 25 of you there, right? He's going to come back. But you, as a consultant, get to continuously come up in his feed, reminding him like the devil on his shoulder, right? Like, hey, like maybe you should think of this, but think about the sale process. Think about the sales funnel.
Right.
It's exactly the same, but you're doing it on autopilot. You're doing it in a sequence that people start to become more and more convinced. It's so that when they do actually come, they're like immediate conversions. Right? Or very close to converting is what I should say. Now, depending on how you price, we price a very, we're higher up there. So like, you're still going to have a good sales process, have good conversions. Like it's not just a give me. So I don't want to create the illusion that it is, but it's opportunity. So in a down market, do you want to be dealing with very price sensitive, scared people to buy? Or do you want to be dealing with people that have been educated, that have the money, but don't want to make the wrong decision on who they choose? Which would you choose?
No,
right? So again, it comes back to your avatar. Look at what your client's behavior looks like. They're not compulsively buying, okay? Just going out and compulsively buying the first thing they see, all right? You got to think rich or poor, all right? People make decisions. The clients you want to work with make conservative, intelligent decisions, and they have access to all the information available. If you're putting information out that somebody's going to consume in social media. And again, this is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. If you build these parts where most guys are not, they're not educating their consumers. They're not thinking of, I'm going to call it educating the wind. All right. The reason I'm going to say that is because you don't know who's looking at it. If you're in front of somebody selling though, you know who you're selling to. All of a sudden it becomes more practical, right? If you're educating, or like imagine pitching your sales pitch to the wind. Right? You're just, on your soapbox, like, but that's exactly what I'm talking about here, because there is people that are listening, especially in the internet. The more and more traffic you drive to it, the more people you educate, all right, is going to make your sales funnel, first of all, wider, and you're going to have a lot more conversions, all right, when you do run conversion, practices. So those, you do need to have a bit of conversion, but the cost of that is much, much lower compared to anybody else that's just running a straight conversion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that's not too much, but now we get to the point of a sales process. Okay. And this is how it works. When somebody has expressed interest, researched you, picked up the phone and called you, that is what we're talking about at this point, is what is their engagement with your company look like? How quickly do we respond? What do we fill in between, hello, I'm going to come out and give you a quote, to, hey, here's your quote? What, like, most guys leave that gap of an empty space. And you know what happens during that time? All right. You know what happens? First of all, homeowners' anxiety goes up, right? Oh, this guy hasn't got back to me. Even if it's one day, you'd be very surprised. Maybe 10 years ago, we could let quotes go for 2 weeks. And sometimes we did. We told them, hey, get all the quotes you need. We'll be out there in 2 weeks when you're about to make a decision. And then we wanted to be the last to go out. Right. Because we knew people weren't, in a rush to turn these things over. Not usually. And we would make an appointment and we would send out mailers and we would warm them up while they were getting other quotes. One of the easiest things to do is send them a checklist of how they should be selecting a contractor. Easy, right? Just give them that one thing, all right? And all of a sudden it levels the playing field and they're waiting for you to come and give a quote. because you've
Right.
shown interest in their job. You've tried to give them information and educate them. But really what you're doing is, again, you're creating authority for yourself, right? This guy's not a fly by night company. He's not. And you can do this in commercial. You can do this anywhere that you want, right? And again, it's just good salesmanship as well, is that you're always going to try and educate your customer on their problem. Okay. And the reason why, guys, if you can picture this, and I know we're doing a lot of picturing today, so we'll stick with me here. But let's just imagine that we want to sell a drill. Okay. We're going to sell a drill. That's our product that we're selling. Do we go up to the homeowner and be like, hey, look at this drill. Look at all these great features. Look at it's got a steel fan. It's got, this electrical cord. Like, you know what I mean? If you start pitching your deal like that, all right, what have you done? You've actually lowered your status. You've lowered you, and the homeowner knows, or the owner, or anybody else, that you're trying to sell them something. Okay. And we lower our authority. We're no longer trying to solve their problem. We're just trying to sell them stuff. They don't know if they need it. So if we were to change this up and focus first on problem. So I call it, don't sell the drill, sell the hole. The hole is the problem. They don't know how to put the hole in the features and benefits don't matter. They're just trying to solve the hole. So if we focused on what is it that is their problem versus the other, we're going to keep them in an emotional state of buying. Okay. So I'll give you a good example of this. A lot of guys go out and they pitch why they are the best company for the job. I use this shingle, or I use that shingle. Like, I use this drywall, I use that drywall, and it goes absolutely nowhere. And they don't understand why they don't convert. But I'm doing all these things. I showed up in my blue shirt, my leather truck. Like, I did all these things. Great. And the first thing I say is, okay, what questions did you ask? Silence. Questions? What do you mean? Like, I asked if they needed a roof. Like, okay, great. I'm like, but what real questions did you ask? Like, how did you get to know exactly what their problem was? Well, they needed a roof. No, you're missing my point here. They didn't really need a roof, right? Your job was to get them aware of why they needed that roof, right? What's causing the fear? What's causing them to have a problem that they called you for? All right. It's not just the roof. There's other things, if you don't get to, that you will never convert a deal. And this is the best advice I can give you about sales. You should not be selling anybody. All right. Salespeople work at car dealerships. All right. Everybody knows what they're there for. And they bring people to the point of where they say yes or no. Okay. They don't go any further. All right. They're more customer service. A closer takes somebody from no to yes. Simple as that. Okay. So if we're talking about conversions and funnel conversion, we want to be able to close somebody. And there's a very big difference. All right. A closer can take somebody from no, I'm not interested, to yes, I want to move forward with you. Okay. And that involves understanding the problem awareness stages, the solution awareness stages. Okay. And then how to properly present an offer without being salesy. Okay. And then being able to deal with someone's objections to price, to whatever, because really below all of that, it's not price. Very rarely is it going to be price. It's going to be, can this person actually deliver what I wanted? There could be a whole host of other fears, concerns. And remember, people buy emotionally, they justify logically. So if I were going to have this honest conversation about why we use sales funnels, okay, is to get all the logic out of the way first. Is to remove the logic and educate them first, because nobody makes decisions in a logical state. It's on the left side of our brain. It's what's responsible for mathematical, and it takes time. That's where you'll get, I need to get a few more quotes. I need more information. I got to talk to my husband, my brother, my neighbor, my friend. That's because you've kept them in a logical state through your sales thing. So the best idea here, and the best advice I can do, is get all the logical stuff out of the way, explain your offers. And if you can do it earlier in the marketing, even better. When you go there, you shouldn't be talking about the features and benefits. They already know those things. What are they there for? They want you to tell them how you're going to drill the hole. Right? Again, those things become much irrelevant, and they become a very small part. It's now, does this person truly understand and care about what I am am worried about. And what we find out when you ask the right questions at the right time, all right, is that most sales are driven by fear, in my opinion, right? So I'll give you a good example of this. I'll use our avatar, something that I happen to know very intimately from having very intimate sales conversations. And it's not that they need a brand new $100,000 roof. No, that's not what they need. All right. They don't need to have that. They know there's cheaper options, but they're there to maybe look at it. But what they're really telling me is they're afraid of something. And what is it? Right. So if I'm looking at somebody that's 60 years old, all right, I can ask some questions around, hey, like, tell me, like, you seem to be well off. Like, why a metal roof? Like, what's your decision here? Oh, well, they last forever, and they start telling you the features of your offer. But honestly, like, does it really matter to you, like, that this roof lasts 50 years? You're not going to be here 50 years, right? Like,
Right.
does this really matter? Oh, well, all of a sudden it turns, and I know the exact point. Well, really, I don't want to have to replace the roof. Well, why do you want to have to replace the roof? Like, you've already done it once or twice. What's the big deal? Well, I don't want to really spend that kind of money. I'm worried about running out of money in retirement. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. And really, is that that's a big fear? Well, of course, because if you don't have to ever purchase again, but then I can go one step further and really connect with that homeowner and go, is it maybe because your children might see that you're not keeping up your house? Is that maybe the concern, and you have to go to retirement home? All of a sudden, boom, right? Like, that's the real point. They want to retire into their home. And more,
Right.
like, again, if you know the demographic, I already know those things, right?
Right.
They don't want their kids to think that they can't keep up with the maintenance of their house as they get into the retirement years. Okay.
Hmm.
So, but how much did I accomplish by having that conversation versus having the conversation about my roof lasts 50 years and it's XYZ?
Right.
Like, totally different connection. And
Right.
the ability that at the end of it, if you've done it right and you're with the homeowner. So listen, you've told me today some important information, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. I understand that you don't want to have a roof that fails. It's got to last 50 years or better. You're thinking about passing it off to your kids. And you're a little concerned about ever having to replace the roof. Well, do I got everything right there? Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, here's what I'm offering. I have a 50-year roof that will last into your retirement. You'll never have to replace again. Like there's no pitch. Like, it's
Right.
literally saying back to them what they've asked for that they've already researched. Like, there's no sale here. So again, are we ready to move forward? Yes, I think we better. And I met with them on their emotional side of their brain,
Yeah.
because we've talked about what really matters to them. And what really matters to them is not the benefits and features of your product or service. All right. What matters to them is what it gives them and what it prevents, what it stops. Like, those are the things you need to focus on. Think about problem first, right? It's the same thing that goes, right? Guys that are just chasing money and want to get rich quick. It shows in your marketing, right?
Yeah.
Those are the guys that are, jumping on, I'll give you this for free. I'll do, like, what I mean? You're just attracting that kind of, I want volume. I want all the
Right.
sales. I want it all. I'm going to get rich this way. I see it all the time, right? And guess where they're smack dab in? About 10 other guys that are competing for the exact same thing that sound the exact
Yeah.
same way. And guess
Yeah.
what happens? Those guys are gone in 1 to 2 years. All right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you exactly why. If you wake up every morning, all right, and this goes for sales, like sales in general, and the mindset you need to have. If you wake up every morning and you think about getting money, all right, I promise you this, nothing but problems will follow you. Okay. If you wake up every morning and think about solving someone else's problem,
Yeah.
money will chase you down and beat you up. All right. It will, like, and I'm not exaggerating. It's something I learned the hard way. It's what you wake up and present yourself to. And again, it goes to your marketing. If everybody's business, and it's true, your business is a reflection of you. All right. It's a reflection of your thoughts. It's a reflection of what you care about, what you value. Your staff, like, show me your staff. Let me have a chat with them. I'll know what you're all about. All right. Because you attract that to you. Right. And again, if it's, you're distracted, you're not present, you're going to have distracted, not present staff. Like, that's the way the way it goes. Right. Until you correct that. Right. Now, same thing with your customers. If you are chasing money, right? You're going to find price sensitive people that are going to, again, and it's just a bad transaction. If you don't care about anybody's problems and you're just trying to sell them stuff, you're going to have a hard time converting sales. You're going to have a hard time connecting with anybody on a high ticket price. So again, I besides the structure of a sales funnel, which we can all kind of identify, there's the sales part that I think a lot of people miss, the conversion part. We are still 100% in a people to people business. And until something changes dramatic that we buy purely from machines, okay, we are still in that. And if you understand that first, marketing becomes exponentially easier. Just like if you understand marketing, all right, it leads you to how to sell, okay? Because it's all based in the same thing. We are emotional beings. In a commercial setting, there is always an opportunity. And the guy that makes themselves specific to solving problems and focuses on solving the problem, be it in commercial, be it in residential, be it wherever you want to place, you can put it in, product sales for all I care. All right. The one that focuses on the problem that the purchaser has, all right, and knows it intimately and works to give the customer the benefit of care, all right, is going to win. All right. The guy that goes in trying to take people's money and doesn't know what value is, doesn't understand what marketing and how people emotionally respond, all right, it isn't emotionally intelligent themselves, is going to fail. All right. And we see it over and over and over again. The guy that's highly reactive, has the temper. Guess what? His marketing reflects all that. Even if you're using an agency, right? Even if you're using an agency, you can't cover it up. It shows in other places. Again, it's how you go to the job sites. It's how your trucks are. It's how it manifests itself everywhere. So what I really encourage from this conversation that we're having is understand marketing, of course, understand the funnels, but at the same time, take it to the people to people business aspect. All right. Do we need big fancy funnels? No, not necessarily. Right. What it's going to do if you're not great at marketing, is going to force you to be better at sales because you're going to have less opportunities, right? You're not going to get as many layups. And what it also is going to do is you're going to have to go through a very deep and time consuming process with everyone to actually sell them. Okay. Now, if you can do both, that's really the beauty of, that's where contractors explode. If you're capable of selling and marketing, all right, and you know it on a deep, intimate level, all right, and you can turn that around and pull those levers at any time, and that sales team is problem focused, all right, that's what makes $100 million contractors. That's what makes, again, people that are in the stratosphere. They understand those two things so intimately, and it travels down the business. It travels in, because the person that cares about their marketing, all right, and that understands the client journey, knows what they've sold them in, is powerfully connected to the client, doesn't let them down in production either, right? That follows all the way through. You never stop marketing. In fact, marketing doesn't stop ever. Once they've entered your funnel, they never emerge back out unless they are kicked out or they ask to get out, right? So again, we want to think it's like the Hotel California, right? So if you can create the Hotel California, you can check in, but you never leave. All right. Then you've really got it. You've got it. You take customers through this journey. At the end, they're your raving fans or your salespeople. They're raving to you to their friends and families. And that's how contractors need to focus. Right. But it's just they're not doing that.
No. And I think, again, it's, I think part of it is, for so many of us, we did it this way for so long. And, it feels like what I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. It feels like what you're talking about is like this, colossal, just this massive shift. And I could never get that. And it's going to cost too much. I can hear the guys that I rub shoulders with, like chirping back at me going, man, that's just, we have something that works and And then again, the thing I would, to challenge them is I would say, well, does it work? Because
are you where you want to be? Can it get any better?
Right. And so I think, so again, maybe to kind of think about final thoughts here. So, it, you know, we've talked about like marketing and where we start. But I mean, as far as like, if someone who's understands, like, I mean, everyone understands that, every customer at one point didn't know who I was, right? So
Right.
everyone understands that basic sort of like function of, they didn't know who I was, then they did, then they thought that maybe I could do the job, and then they liked me, and then they bought from me. But you know, like, as far as I think maybe like the thing that I think will land for the folks that we want to bring the value to, which is the folks that are doing probably 5 to 50, right? That have like a mature business, and they're not like chasing payroll every week. I think it's about leverage, and thinking like there's only so many places I or my team can be, and only so many things we can do at one time.
Mhm.
But if I get on board with this sales funnel thing, which I'm still not sure I totally understand, but if I understand that this puts me in living rooms and homes and offices of the people that I want to do business with, while I'm doing all the other things that I do every day, and then when I have a conversation with that person, even though like even though it may not come up, they've seen my ad or my
Mhm.
TikTok or my Facebook page or my YouTube channel or whatever. Like, it's it's having employees, right? So you've got these, like, this army of like videos and posts and blog, whatever you choose to do. It's out there, working for you
Mhm.
while you're going about your business. I think that maybe that would help some, so
Yeah.
like,
So
you know what
so
I
I,
mean?
I
Can you maybe like
I think
say
I
that better
understand
than
what
I'm
you're saying.
saying it?
So let's take it from three different point of views. So we've got the guy that's working on the tools, still out in the field, or maybe has a couple of
Right.
guys and is sort of going through that first level of growth. Okay, and we're going to talk about that at another call. But this is my advice to you. Okay, work on the things that are going to happen and pay for themselves in 90 days. So that's your social media. If you know that for free today, I can create value and solve problems for people within the next 90 days or over the
Right.
next 90 days, and that my post is going to help someone make a decision. And if you create your content around, like I said, answering those questions that they're going to ask you during a presentation, answer those
Right.
commonly asked questions, and like this debunk the the questions that they may have that would stop them from buying from you. So I mean,
Right.
it's called timing the objection. If you just did that kind of content into your social media, not the hey, look at me, but really educated your consumer, talk to the wind is what I'll call it, right? Because it feels
Yeah.
like you're talking to the wind. All this is
Right.
going out, all this work's going in, but I'm not getting anything back immediately. You
Right.
can't think of that. It will take 90 days for you to start to see the benefit of it. I would start there. Okay. No dollars, but it's time. All right. We're either going to trade money or we're going to trade time. You decide. Right. You can pay someone to do it and fast track it. Right. Again, you can hire someone for social media. You can do all those things. But if you're not there yet, my first suggestion to you is think simple. What problems do your owners need to solve? And then
Right.
explain that in social media. It's simple, easy. Now, if we want to go a step up, that's somebody that maybe is approaching 7 figures or getting there. They have a small team. Marketing becomes a big deal because it's no longer just
Huge deal.
a
Yeah.
couple of jobs. You need to have a job every
Right.
day. You need to
Right.
keep people working. And if
Got to
that
keep your, yeah.
stops, right, you start to you're going, all
You're
the
in
hard work
trouble.
is gone.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
advice to you, understand first of all sales. Okay, you cannot help yourself unless you know how to convert. All right, and this again is very simple as this: connect with your clients. Don't think about selling the drill, think about the hole. Okay,
Right.
your job is to not sell them things. If you go in with the mindset of selling them something, all right, you're not going to like the results. If you go in
Right.
the mindset as this person has a problem I can
And I'm
solve,
going to
and
solve
you
it. Yeah.
focus on that,
Yeah.
believe me, sales will not be a problem. The next part is understand marketing. Don't get into the weeds of trying to do it yourself. That is a lousy, poor life decision. Okay. The reason why is because you have too many operational and logistical things to take care of that are far more important at this point. All right. If you can sell and convert, you can buy media from anybody. Okay. Make sure your prices, but understand it. That's all I'm asking. Now, if you're over 7 figures and you're looking to scale, all right, this is where we come in. This is where we can really help you. Well, we can help both parties. This is where you want to start to think about the strategy. You want to really put the game plan in place and start to build out these systems and processes that allow you to reach more people, allow you to consistently sell without having all stars, without having, you want to be able to produce extraordinary results with a very average team. And believe me, like
Right.
I said, if you don't start any system that I'm thinking of in my business, operationally or anything, always comes back to what's my mission? What is
Right.
the objective that I'm trying to complete here, right? And my objective is simple: is I want to solve problems. I want to solve the problems that I'm an expert at, right?
Right.
I'm an expert at installing metal roofs for wealthy people, and you know what? Their problems are not the same as poor people, right? So, I use that example because I didn't get there. I didn't get to that point of having that mission without trial and error, and again, a
Right.
lot of making mistakes and not getting what is it that builds business and scale. All right. And it's simple as this: you now have to be educated, you have to know about media buying, you have to, because marketing becomes a lot more when you have to sell 10 jobs,
Right.
25 jobs, 30 jobs in a month, right? You need to have both sides pumping, and they got to be connected. All right. You can get way off track and you can lose a lot of time and a lot of energy just chasing sales. So a lot of guys are very good at
Right.
sales, but they have to hustle. They have to, it's a never ending, and it's a roller coaster ride, right? They're
Yeah.
up, they're down, they're up, they're down, and that burns you out over time. If you
Yeah.
brought in the marketing side, that makes things easier. There's enough easy yeses that we're not going deep in, again, we call them the giveaways, right? Like the laydown sales. At a certain point in your career, you need both sides, right? If you really want to scale 5, 10, 15, 20 million, you need to have those things top of mind every single day. You need to be focusing on those. And if you are running a very well operational business and you've grown, those are the people we can really help. Those are the
Right.
people that, here is where my mission is to bring in high level systems, find out where the bottlenecks are in your business, and then put those things in place for you without you having to think about them, right? Like, again, if you haven't invested in marketing, if you're not an expert, that's cool. All right. But what I don't suggest is that you get tangled up with a marketing agency, for example, that is just bringing you leads. That's not marketing. All right.
Right.
That's buying leads.
Right.
If you true marketers or companies that own their marketing, all right, they know the whole thing from start to finish, and nothing occurs. No messages get sent, no branding gets sent out. Nobody gets to do anything, because if it's not on target with your mission, all right, your leads, all of that, it's irrelevant. If you're marketing to the wrong group, right, you don't know your avatars. Like, this is why it has to be, you have to invest in yourself first, and then you have to invest in systems second, and then you have to invest in strategy third. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think, we're not just, again, for those out there that are, like, again, you're like glazing over right now and you're like, oh, this is so much. So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about this for a few weeks. And this is just the first of, I think we're going to have 3 more conversations about
Mhm.
this and kind of go through, because again, it's one of those things, for a lot of the folks that are in this, in our group here are, again, you're not chasing payroll every week and you're not like in survival mode. You've got something that's working, and that's really where I think we can bring the most value, is to those folks that it's like, well, they if guys, owners off the tools but still selling a lot, or still very involved in the operation, and maybe wants to have your team do more stuff, and have more control over your time. This is one of those things that gives you more time back. So
100%.
um so in the meantime, between this conversation and the next one, folks can hang out. They can go on Thursdays and they can learn about this in our
Yep.
school, right?
Mhm.
So if you're interested in that, drop a comment, DM us, and we'll get you get you in there. And Jay does that every Thursday, 3 o'clock, right, Jay?
Correct.
Yeah. So, final thoughts, Jay.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of heavy information. So again, if anything was too much or over your head, again, it would be wise for you to invest in the things that we're talking about, right? So again, try to keep it as simple, as complicated as I may have made it sound. At the end of the day, I didn't get to where I am. I started where everybody else was, making these same mistakes. So again, I'm here to help. Look forward to helping. And like I said, my mission is still the same, as to solve problems, right? So if
Yes.
you have those problems and the things that I was talking about is resonating, you'll know who you are. Put your hand up.
Right.
Let's get them fixed.
Yeah. So check us out. Check us out on School Thursdays at 3 o'clock, or send us a note or a comment on this live. And again, it's a good conversation, and it's a chance to talk to Jay personally and ask questions. So I mean, there's it's a chance to interact and get some feedback on stuff. So thanks everybody for being with us. We're here every Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern, bringing solutions, bringing things that we believe can help 7-figure and 8-figure contractors, and doing everything we can to bring the good stuff so you can scale, grow, do the things you need to do to get to what's next for you. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.